Hello, everybody.
What's
We
up?
are live,
Yo.
and this is another episode of Comics de la Muerte, the show where we talk about horror comics because we are tired of superheroes and their tights.
Hello. That's
And
funny.
this episode is episode 13, a tremendous journey. That's how I think I
Tremendous
put it.
Quest, I think it
Yeah,
was.
quest. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Blood Realm is the name of the book. Like this is the collected volume, I think Ronnie was saying. And it's on YouTube. And this guy, Robert Geronimo, pretty much
Well, the
did
narrative version.
the narrative
Yeah.
version
Hmm.
is awesome. Like, but the comic I loved even better. So I'm excited to talk about it because it is something different than what I've read
Hmm.
for horror, and it's something different than what we've covered on the show so far. So
Yeah.
new ground being broken again for us tonight.
Oh, of course. Because it's definitely one of those things that, it's not like just horror by itself, but it has like that fantasy like element where there's like, kind of like if you took like the world of Lord of the Rings or stuff like that and took like a horror element to it, it's definitely like that dark fantasy. And that's what it
Yeah.
is, a dark fantasy world.
Mhm. Yeah. I would definitely not. And it's a lot of book to cover. Like you can tell in the way you can tell just in the way the story is constructed. Like we're just now, like we're not even to the tip of the iceberg yet.
Yeah.
But it establishes enough horror elements to where there is like that tension can build, and that's what it brought in the
Mhm.
sense of yes, this is like dark fantasy, but this does have that tension of horror
Yeah.
because it's building towards like these awful things and
Mhm.
these awful solutions to do things. So it's got all the pieces. Like it's worth a read for sure.
So you want to give your take on, or actually you want to show like one of your first pages that you really like that stuck out to you?
Yeah, let me get it pulled up. It went to volume 2 for some reason. So let me
Gotcha.
pull it back up again. Give me just a second.
Not
But
a problem.
I will say this while I'm getting this pulled up. The artwork in this book is A1. The black and white color with just the red is the only other color. It was a nice touch, and I really enjoyed the artwork in this book. Very reminiscent of Junji Ito in a lot of spots. But yeah, so let me this is a really good one right here. Just because it just kind of feels like those comics that I never got to read, but I would always see, and I always thought that they looked so cool. It's like
Hmm.
it's just a really cool page, like or a really
Yeah,
cool
and it
panel, I
definitely
should
has like
say.
that Hellboy uh tech art technique to it
Yeah,
where everything is like very like black and only the characters are like red or like a white uh texture. So yeah,
yeah,
really
it's got
digging
that.
it.
I think it was a Magnola, but
Hmm.
it's like it's like this perfect 2D drawing. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's drawn this way on purpose. I dig that page. Like it just such a different book than what I had read going forward. Oh, that's a cool panel. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I really like these panels just for the fact is that, you know, they're just really amazing. Hold on. He's going through really fast. Do. Yeah, that one. Is that just the beginning of this is that the mother's looking over the daughter. It's like you could have great detail in a page in it for just being simple black, white, and red. You
Yep.
don't need to have like all these different colors. And here, you could tell it like has like that despair element to it, not even reading like the caption boxes on what's
Right.
going on,
Right.
you know?
No, it's very well done. Like I enjoyed the artwork
Hmm.
the most. Like that was my favorite part of this book was is just so cool. It's like every page, like and what we were talking about before, it's like the black
Yeah.
work in this book. Like sometimes,
Hmm.
black is a strategy to kind of just fill up a page as quick as you can and get out. But it was almost like he worked it out of marble almost. It was like this big block of black, and there are these shapes and these awesome characters that get cut out of the black work, man. It's not easy to do. And you would look at this page and you would think that
Yeah,
it would be
like
more, it was
this
like
right here,
black and white.
I like what he
Man,
did with like the outline of the sword.
yeah. It makes that whole
Really,
panel, like the panel
yeah,
is
it makes
cool,
it
but
really stick
that,
out.
yeah, but that like explode, that makes it explode. That's awesome.
Yeah, really amazing stuff.
Yeah, like yeah, this is a good book. It's not at all 100%. It's not what I would look for to read, but I'm glad that I read it because of that reason. Like this is
Hmm.
again, this is the cool thing about comics is there's something for everybody, and even if something is not for you, you might find something you really like about it. You know, and it's just turning pages. So like good choice on the book this week, Ronnie. Like this is fun, and it's
Yeah.
like now I get to experience something that
Hmm.
is not on my radar typically.
Yeah.
So
And
no, like
just for like the basis of the story, three supernatural beings known as the Sisters of Silence must embark on a treacherous quest to stop a bloodthirsty general from obtaining a sacred relic powerful enough to obliterate the last kingdom of men. Which, you know, you would think, what is this relic that's so powerful? And, the relic is a freaking heart, you know, it's a heart. And if anyone, you know, eats the heart, they gain these powers. Kind of like, I'm trying to think of a certain movie. Like, it's kind of like
remember the Golden Child?
The Golden Child. Yes. I want the knife. No,
Please.
please. I have that movie on DVD.
What a good movie that was. It was
Right.
so awesome. But no, it's the same thing. And like something to so this book like that we're reviewing, guys, is like you can watch it almost like a motion comic, but
Hmm.
definitely a narrated comic, and it's
Yeah.
really, really it's done really, really well.
And
You
if
can
you
check it
want,
out on YouTube.
yeah, and if you want to buy the physical copy, in the description, I have it where you could buy it. But the artist, the author, he wanted to like make like a narrative version where there's sound effects, there's him doing a bunch of voice acting where he does different voices for like
Yeah,
the villains and stuff like that. He does a good, really good work for it.
it's
You know,
very well done.
yeah.
And one of the things that I enjoyed about it was the sound effect
Hmm.
on the eating of the heart. Like that
Yeah.
was that was dead on. Like that was
Hmm.
really, really cool. So just once again, man, it's like our planet, our comic book galaxy is like it's awesome, and it's full of like different things.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this book more than I ever would have thought I would have.
And just looking at that just reminds me that maybe, just maybe, I could take one of my horror comics and do that, something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got the chops for it. Like
Yeah.
you could pull it off.
Yeah. I have my voice work, I have my studio, so yeah.
Yep. Well,
Yeah,
there you go, man.
it's definitely a good book. A lot of great artwork, and just one of the good things I like about the Sisters of Silence. Let me try to bring up the picture.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let me see. Let's see. Do do do.
So, what did you
Uh,
like about? Did you dig anything in particular, like while you're pulling it up about the Sisters of Silence? Like,
they're very majestic, and I like the fact that he kept them to be like very silent in like their manners, but yet when they attack, they go like all like, when we mean business, we're gonna kick your ass, pretty much.
right,
It's like they literally like take no names, like they demolish people when they fight. And I just want to bring up this page if I can. Let me see. Uh, let's see. Just for the fact is that I really love what he did in an artistic way. Let's see. I don't know if you could see that.
yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's such a cool picture. Like he used the red like people use like do with black most of the time. Like he filled up a
Hmm.
page with it. Then he cut
Yeah.
his art. Then he cut his art out of it, and it paid off. Like I don't know what the. I mean, obviously it's like Red works with a book called Blood Realm,
Hmm.
but I don't know. It was just it was a it's a cool little flourish, man. Like everybody gets something. I was looking at this other picture of the Sisters of Silence
Oh
that
yeah, right there. There you go.
yeah, such a cool picture. It's just on, just a drawing session video of them.
Yeah, that right there. I mean, of course, this came out, I believe, before the book, but that kind of reminds me of like a creepy nun, you know.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's like, those those definitely have like a horror element to it. Like if you saw those three women approaching you,
nothing good
not
is gonna
saying in a
happen.
word,
Yeah,
nothing good is going to come out of it.
yeah, yeah. That's it. It's probably over for you at that point.
Yeah,
It's,
pretty much.
but no, it's just like So, what do you think about the story? Like,
Story wise, I liked it a lot. I wish that there would have been, that the sisters would have been not, I don't want to say spoilers, but I wish the sisters would have had more of a fighting chance in some things, but I understand the concept that it was like, it wasn't, the story wasn't about them, it was about the person that they came across, which was
yeah,
pretty much like this, almost like this imp, kind of like weakling in a way, who became like this main character, who became almost like a general because he was like a small fry. And
right.
yeah.
No, so as a writer, I get long-winded, and I always wonder if I should include a lot of the build up to things. And I appreciated how much build up there was in this volume. Like, no, it wasn't, I didn't feel like it told a complete story like we did in a lot of the other books that we reviewed,
Mhm.
because it was establishing that this is the beginning of a story. Like this
Yeah.
entire first volume, and it's still relatively short because it's covered with narration slowly in about 20 minutes. So it's like it's worth your time to check out, even if you want to look at it before you get the physical copy, because
Hmm.
I love the art enough that I want to digest it with just me in the book.
Yeah.
And again, that's not to say that the voiceover and the narration was bad, because it wasn't, not at all. It's just, I would like to experience this as a comic book. And I think that I would enjoy it. I don't know, maybe even more, because I do like a lot of dialogue and narration in
Hmm.
my books. I do because that's how I write a lot of the time. So to see somebody do that and do it well, it's almost like a class for me, as somebody who's trying to get started and establish how the flow I want to have in my own comics.
Yeah. And I wonder because with like it's I don't want to say it because it's a big spoiler, but one one of the sisters, they die, and like this their aura pretty or their body flies up to the heavens, and it's like, okay, what happens to their body? Like,
Right.
do they become resurrected? It's like, you know we don't know much about this species, these mysterious species,
Right.
and I would like to know more about them,
Right.
you know because it's one of these things, like this book, I guarantee it, that Robert probably has so much little notes in his notebook about, okay, with the sisters, this is like their whole backstory,
Yep.
because I guarantee it, with a book with this much detail and this much
Everybody's got a story.
yeah,
All these people are
yeah,
real. Like,
yeah,
they exist.
like with some horse comics and even some superhero comics, you could have not that big of a universe, but with something like Blood Realm, and how big of okay, this this child was born, and he was born as a demon, and you had to kill him, because if you didn't kill him, he would bring upon this apocalypse
Right.
and stuff like that. He pretty much created this universe. And when you create a universe, everyone has a backstory.
Yeah. You know. So this is the when I was listening, because I listened to this and then I watched it while I listened to it, and
Hmm.
then I kind of just paused it and fanned through the pages a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't really read it that time. But this story reads, if you found a Bible in Skyrim, this
Yeah.
story would be in it.
Yeah.
Because it's got all those details. I'm okay to I'm okay to see where this goes.
Hmm.
It's because usually everything that we've read, starting with the anthologies, and so many chapters of Uzumaki
Yeah.
kind of were contained into themselves. And with Scott's book, again, it told a complete story. Every chapter told a
Hmm.
complete story. But this is all set up. So it's this is kind of that next step. This is
Yeah.
much longer than a mini series. So
Of course. I mean, Blood Realm could pretty much break up into many, many series.
it could just go forever.
Yeah, like as
It
soon
could
as
be its own universe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as Blood Realm ends, doesn't mean that you can't have a spin-off of something else.
Yeah.
That's what I really feel that this could be. And,
Yep.
That's why I really want to pick Robert's brain and ask
Yep.
if that's what he has in mind.
Yep. It kind of I don't know if you watch Samurai Jack and
Oh, of
the
course.
Gennady was it Tartakovsky shows. Like
Yeah.
this almost felt like a gritty, grimy version of one of those Toonami
Mm-hmm.
shows like that you watch, and it's like 11 minutes. It's like 11 minutes of an episode, but it's like just raw and gritty, and it's not a cartoon for kids. And it's like you walking in this, like
Samurai
you're in
Jack's
middle.
awesome.
Yeah, it's like you're in Middle Earth, but like
Yeah.
not like Middle Earth where hobbits are like cutesy wootsy and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is like behind the world behind the walls of Mordor, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
But no,
yeah.
not everything I would look for in a comic, in a horror comic, but a good story in its own right with strong horror elements. Got very
Mm-hmm.
strong horror facets to it. I can see where a horror story would come from this world.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, I'm trying to like his facial expressions. Like I'm trying to like pause at it. Like when the sisters like get attacked. I don't know if you could,
Yeah.
I don't know if you could bring it up
Yeah, let me get it real quick.
because their facial expressions when they get attacked is like really, really good.
Yep.
Like anyone out there who wants to learn how to do artwork, just look in front of a mirror and try to do different facial expressions of you like smiling, frowning, anything like that. It might be silly to a lot of people, but that's the
Oh,
best way to do stuff.
you got to look at this one first though, because if you're talking about facial expressions in the book, man, like
Yeah, right there. That's great. And that's just that heart that everyone's trying to gather because that heart, that's ultimate power right there.
yep. Yeah, and look at this one.
That's a hearty breakfast.
Part of a complete breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the
Oh yeah, that
sisters
face
there.
right there. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it's like it's that same Junji Ito vein
Hmm.
of that
And he's a fan
black
of
and
Juni
white.
Ito, so I could really
Absolutely, you
tell.
can
I
tell. It
could
shines
really
right
tell
through.
that he's a fan, and not that he's copying him, but it's like okay,
He used it
I
to tell his own story,
yeah
100%.
yeah. He's like I'm a fan of this guy, and he's my mentor, and I'm gonna make a story that you know I'm gonna use elements like the facial expressions, and he does some really great facial expressions that remind me. Oh yeah, that's great.
And I tell y'all what, man, like
And just hold up that scene for a second. Like being an artist, with it just being black and white and that red, with that red being in the background, it makes everything else just really pop out. And that's what
yeah,
you want to do too, is find where you want that one color to go to make everything else just pop out.
right. But
So
where
it's
do your
just not
eyes go on
blending.
that page?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like it's a target. It pulls your eyes right to where you want to tell the story from.
Hmm.
Like it's you can run the show from well produced comic pages, man. Like you
Hmm.
really can. So I love it. Like I don't know. I guess I don't have like there's a lot of good dialogue in this book, and it's like you almost have to read it to really like it would sound silly for me to kind of like go into like some of these chains of words that he went into through the book because because I listened to it on my way to work for
Yeah.
the first time, and I could not believe like all these things that he was saying fit in a comic book. Like
Hmm.
this was narrated directly from the comic book, but look, and you would think that it would be like these huge walls of text, but it's not. Like it's a pretty cool book. Like again, and I say it 1,000 times a week, but comic books, you can pull off anything through a comic book, man. Like, and it's going to get somebody's attention, and it's going to get somebody's attention who, is just passing through. But if you give them something to see, like that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about horror is that, with superheroes, it's pretty much, I don't want to say it's black and white, but sometimes it is. You have the hero taking on the villain, but with horror comics that I wish we would have talked more about on the show is that you have the supernatural horror, you have the slasher horror, and now you have this, which is a dark fantasy horror.
Right. And you also have psychological horror,
Exactly.
Like,
You have so many different horror genres out there that you can really dig into, and it's great,
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to get into the next one. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a fun book. It was in the sense of what we normally cover. Like, we could talk for hours because some of the Junji Ito chapters were really long. Like, this was your standard, about a minute a page, 22-page comic book.
Yeah.
And it was really, really good, but just not a lot to say. Like, there's not a lot to really unpack about it, in the sense that the artwork is awesome, 1,000%. Like, that's my favorite part of this book.
Yeah.
I love the artwork in this book, but
you could tell he really took the time.
He jumped in his bag and he stayed in it. Like, every page is as good as the page before it, and every page after that is just as good as the next page. So fantastic comic book, just introducing me to something that I may not like, or I may not know that I would like, but I'm sure that for people who are heavy into that, like, dark fantasy, like, man, like, this is what you want to read right here.
Yeah.
Like, for sure. Like, this hits all the marks for what you would like in that genre.
Yeah. I definitely would recommend that. It's one of those things I could definitely see it like become like an animated series, as good as it is.
Absolutely. It would be really cool too. Like almost like Metalocalypse, but like without the music, if that makes sense. It would be something to see, like, but well done. And it's like, you give your comics a whole new dimension of viability, like when you show how cool it is with live narration. Because now that does help you to visualize it a little bit better as something in live action or animated.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna end it here. So do you want to rate the book?
I would give this book probably for what we normally review, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. The artwork is a 10 out of 10, but it only has horror facets. It's not a horror book yet. What do we get into next? I can't wait to find out. By no means am I saying it's a bad book. I'm ready to see what happens next. So I may change this as the book grows. So, but today I'll say a 6 out of 10, 10 out of 10 on the artwork.
Gotcha. With me, I'm going to pretty much take the whole title together as a solid 7.
Okay.
Just equaling out the artwork and the title and taking it for what it is. It's not like a pure horror comic, and it's not like a pure, like, Lord of the Rings type of thing. It's its own thing, and it's pretty much taken two worlds and mashing it together to make something else that's beautiful. So 7 out of me.
Yep. We'll definitely, see it through, and I'm excited about seeing it through. Like, it was a lot of build up. Like I was saying to you before, it's like right when I got, like, I wanted more by the end of it. So now I'm ready. Now I'm where I want more. So, like, I'm ready for what's next. So we'll see what happens next. We'll talk it over with y'all next week.
All right. Well, thank you everyone who showed up in the chats. We'll see y'all next week. Bye.